Hello and welcome to the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profits Commission's webinar on how to complete your first annual information statement, or AIS. Before we start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're presenting from today, the Wurundjeri people, and pay my respects to elders past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which everybody's joining us from today. My name's Anne-Marie and I'm from the ACNC's Education and Public Affairs team. Today's webinar will guide you in how to complete and submit the AIS, going through each question in detail. If you've never submitted an AIS before or you just need a refresher, this is your step-by-step guide on how to do it. When you registered for this webinar, many of you said you wanted to see the full process, so our focus will be to go through all of the questions in the AIS to explain what information you need to provide when you report. We'll also cover how to use the ACNC Charity Portal, which is where you complete and submit your report. We're anticipating that the webinar will run for no longer than 40 minutes. Today, I'll be joined from Kat from our reporting and red tape reduction team. Thanks for joining us, Kat.
Thanks, Anne-Marie, and hi everyone. It's great to be here. I'm really looking forward to taking you through the annual information statement today.
Before we get started, we'll run through some housekeeping details, which will pop on the screen for you now and also in the chat. We'll be using the chat feature to share all of the resources that we refer to today in the webinar. This webinar is being recorded and we'll email the slides and the recording to you afterwards, along with all of the resources that we mention. We'll also pop it up on our website and our YouTube channel in the next few days. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the questions panel at any time throughout the presentation today. The questions button should display in the top right corner of your screen. You'll see a little question mark icon. Your question will go straight to our team members, Yasmin, Maria and Gabby, who will send you a direct response. Before we jump in, we're going to hear from the ACNC Commissioner, Sue Woodward AM, for a quick welcome.
Hi, I'm Sue Woodward and I'm the Commissioner for the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profits Commission, the ACNC. And I want to welcome you to our webinar today, which I hope will be really useful and practical. But I want to start by recognising the contribution your charities make to Australian society. You do many amazing and varying things, and you often provide those services in very local communities. As a registered charity, you do have reporting obligations that are really important because it helps show that you are transparent and accountable. Having a charities register that the public, donors and others can rely on is vital underpinning to trust and confidence in Australian charities. This trust helps you attract and retain members, volunteers and funding. So today the team will take you through practical steps, but most importantly, remember, we're always here to provide you with support. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to meet your obligations. So thanks again, both to those here for a refresher and a particularly warm welcome to those of you involved in charities who have only just registered with us. Thank you.
Thanks for that warm welcome, Sue. Now, Kat, Sue mentioned some of the obligations that come with being a registered charity. Can you elaborate a little on that?
Of course. So as Sue said, the key obligation that we're focusing on today is that charities need to report by completing the AIS each year. Charities also have a few other obligations. Those are to maintain entitlement to registration, so by continuing to be a not-for-profit and have charitable purposes, to comply with the ACNC governance and external conduct standards if operating overseas, to notify the ACNC of changes to charity details, which we'll briefly touch on how you can do this in a charity portal later in this session. And the last obligation is to keep operational and financial records. Good record keeping is important for charity governance and decision making. It's also really helpful to have those detailed records on hand when you need to submit your AIS, as it covers both financial and operational questions. Having those details readily available will make completing the AIS much easier.
Great. Now, from looking at the poll that we did at the top at the beginning of the webinar, it looks like most of our audience today is new to ACNC reporting. We'll be walking you through the process to complete your AIS. So after this webinar, you'll feel confident to report to the ACNC for the first time. For those of you who have reported before, this will be familiar to you, but still a good opportunity to clarify any questions you might have by clicking the questions icon in the top right corner of your screen. All right, let's get started with your AIS. To complete your AIS, you first need to sign in to the ACNC Charity Portal, and the link will pop that in the chat for you. You can also access the ACNC Charity Portal from the homepage at acnc.gov.au. Look for the blue button in the top right corner of the homepage. You may already have an account from where you applied to register your charity, so you can log straight back in. If you don't, you can sign up now. Just make sure you're using your own unique email address, not the generic charity email address. This is because your portal account belongs to you. Multiple people at your charity should have their own account, so someone will always have access to reports if there are changes to staff. That includes board members or trustees, but could also include your accountant if you have one. An accountant can report for your charity, but it's very common for small charities to report themselves. If you have any trouble either logging into the charity portal or signing up, we've got step-by-step guidance up on our website to help you. We'll pop the link to that in the chat for you as well. You'll also find videos linked on that page if you want to watch the process of signing in or signing up.
So this is what your charity portal will look like when you sign in. You should see your name listed in the top right-hand corner, and your charity's name should also appear under the My Charities heading. Now, if you're involved with more than one charity, you might have multiple charities listed in your charity portal account. If you can't see your charity listed or another person's name is showing, please read our guidance on the charity portal help page. You can also contact our helpful advice team on the 132262 number from 1 to 5 p.m. Victorian time. They'll be able to help you with any charity portal issues. Even if you don't need to submit your AIS just yet, now's the perfect time to make sure you can log into the charity portal and see whether your charity is listed. If you wait until the due date to call us for help, you'll experience longer wait times, so we really recommend checking your charity portal access as soon as possible. So once you've logged in and can see your charity's name, you'll be able to see your charity's reporting due date. That's right under the heading reporting, which is in blue on the far right of the screen. You can also find your reporting due date on your charity's page on the ACNC Charity Register, along with your charity's reporting period. So most charities report for a standard financial year. That's from the 1st of July to the 30th of June, and their 2025 AIS will be due on the 31st of January 2026. For those charities operating on a calendar year, so from the 1st of January to the 31st of December, your 2025 AIS will be due on the 30th of June 2026. If your charity was registered partway through a reporting period and you're unsure about what reporting period your first AIS should cover, we've got some helpful examples available on our website if you scroll down to the section titled Information for Newly Registered Charities. If you're still unsure or need a bit of extra help, feel free to give us a call on the 132262 number.
So now that you know your reporting period and due date, let's go back to the charity portal where you will complete your AIS. In the charity portal, click on your charity's name, then you'll be able to see the different tasks that you can complete. The first icon in the charity portal is Manage Reporting, and this is where you go to submit your annual information statement. There are also sections to update your charity's people, for example, if your board members change, and to update your charity's other details, such as a new email address or constitution. The Manage Reporting section is where we'll be focusing today. So once you click on the Manage Reporting icon, you'll be directed to a new screen where you see the icon Start 2025 AIS. So for our example charity, we also have last year's AIS showing, as you can see to the right. If your charity is reporting for the first time, you won't see previous years here. When you see the word Start, that means you're starting the AIS for the first time. After you've finished and submitted the AIS, it will change to Amend, like we have for the 2024 AIS. This just means that you've got the option to change your AIS later if you realise that you've made a mistake. If your AIS says resume, that means you've started it, but you need to finish it and submit it. Okay, so when we click the Start 2025 AIS icon, you'll see a Confirm Details page, which is on your screen now. Click on the Start button at the bottom left of the screen to confirm your details. Your AIS should open automatically, but because most of us have pop-up blockers on our internet browsers, you'll need to click on the link that says, click here if you are not redirected to the form within 10 seconds. That's circled in orange on your screen. Once you've clicked that, it will redirect you to the actual form.
So this is what the AIS looks like. The very first link you'll see under heading Before You Start is the 2025 Annual Information Statement Guide. The guide covers all questions you might have about the AIS, so it's a great resource and helpful to look at either before you start or to have open while you complete the AIS. Between the AIS guide and our webinar today, you should have everything you need to confidently complete your AIS. If you have any trouble with anything, you can also call our helpful advice team on the 132262 number. So in our webinar today, we'll focus on the core questions for small charities. Based on the specific characteristics of your charity, so for example, if your charity is medium or large, or if it's a trust or basic religious charity, you may get some different questions in your AIS. You can see all those questions with the guidance to you in our AIS guide. You'll also see some icons throughout the forms, so any mandatory questions will be marked with a red asterisk. A blue magnifying glass means that you need to click onto it to verify the information, which you mostly see this with email addresses. So if you see it, just make sure you click onto it, and then a green tick will appear to confirm the email is valid. You can find out some extra guidance by hovering your mouse over the help icon as well. It just looks like a little question mark. And at the bottom of each page, there will be a Save and Next buttons. If you click Save, you can then close the AIS and log back into the Charity Portal another day to finish it, or you can click Next to move on to the next page.
So this is the first section of the AIS, which covers some general information about your charity. The first two fields are pre-filled, and it's your charity's ABN and name. If your charity has a website, you can provide the URL here. If you don't have a website, you could list a social media page instead. Otherwise, just leave it blank. There's no need to write in NA or don't have one if you don't have one. This is because the field will only accept a website address. So if you put text in instead of a website address, you'll get an error. So just to reiterate, if you don't have a website, you can leave this field blank. Next, you'll be asked for your address for service. This is where we send your AIS reminder, so please make sure it's an email that you're going to check regularly. Unlike the email address you use to log into the charity portal, which should be unique to you, the address for service should be a generic email that multiple people in your charity can access to make sure you don't miss AIS reminders or other important messages from the ACNC. If somebody's away or leaves your charity, we want to make sure that you're still able to access your charity's address for service email. You can update it in your AIS, but you can also change your address for service email in the charity portal anytime throughout the year in the Manage Other Charity Details section. Your address for service will also appear with your charity's details on the register. As you can see here, this will be the first time you come across one of these blue magnifying glasses. So type in your email and then don't forget to click Verify. You'll be asked to re-enter your email, and this is to make sure that you've entered the right email, because if there's an error, we won't be able to get in contact with you regarding AIS reminders and other important information. You can also list a physical address here, such as your charity's office or a PO box. If your charity is a company registered with ASIC, you do need to list an actual street address.
So on this page, we'll look at your charity's reporting details. First, you'll be asked if your charity is an incorporated association. If your charity is registered as a trust or a company, you won't see this question at all. So for the purposes of the AIS, only answer yes if your charity is incorporated under one of these acts listed here. If you're incorporated under one of these pieces of legislation, you'll also be registered with the state regulator, so such as Consumer Affairs or Fair Trading. If your charity's name has an inc at the end, you're probably an incorporated association. If that's the case, click yes Then select the state or territory in which your charity is incorporated and provide your incorporated association number. If you don't know what your incorporated association number is, you should reach out to your state or territory regulator. In addition to this, you'll also be asked about fundraising. Fundraising generally refers to activities such as soliciting public donations, so either in person or online, holding events to raise money, raffles and other games, corporate partnerships, and crowdfunding. If you intend to fundraise in the next 12 months, select yes. If you are fundraising, select the state or territory and provide your license number if you have one. Not everyone needs a fundraising license, as the rules for this can vary between states and territories. If you're not sure whether you need a fundraising license in your state, check with your state or territory regulator. We'll just note here as well, fundraising is actually not regulated by the ACNC. It is regulated at the territory level. You can visit our fundraising hub for more information and contact information for your regulator. Next, we'll ask for your charity size. This will be determined the questions in the rest of the AIS. In this webinar, we'll be looking specifically at the questions for small charities. Medium and large charities will get a few extra questions. So if your charity has an annual revenue of $500,000 or more, you can visit the AIS guide to see the exact questions for your charity.
Now we're up to the charity programs and activities section. This is where you can tell us about the great work that your charity does in the community. First, you'll be asked if your charity operated during this reporting period. Operating can include running charity programs or strategic work like planning. If you didn't operate at all, please click no and you'll be able to explain the reason. It's important to remember if your charity isn't operating for some reason, for example, if you've only just been established or you aren't operating yet, you're still required to complete your AIS and just indicate here that you didn't operate for that year. If your charity stops operating permanently, you can wind up your charity and voluntarily revoke your registration. If you did operate, please explain how your work helped to achieve your charity's mission or purpose. This description will appear on the register, so you can share an overview of your work with the public. Next, you can add some more detail about your specific charity programs. A program is an activity or service, big or small, that your charity runs to achieve its mission. You'll need to add at least one program, and you can add up to 10. Your program information will be saved for next year, so if you run the same activities every year, you won't need to redo this section in your next annual information statement. To add a new program, click on Add a Program. You'll need a name for your program. You might have a formal name for it, but if not, you can give it a short descriptive name to help people understand what the program is. You'll also need to choose a classification. On the charity register, people can search for charity programs by classification, so choosing the right classification will help people find your services. Click on Search Classification to open the list. For example, let's say your charity runs a food bank each week as one of its programs. In the classification search, you can search the option of food bank. This means that when someone's looking for a food bank in their area, they'll be able to find your program directly linked on the charity register. Not every program will have an exact classification match. You can use the keyword search, or you can look at the categories on the right-hand side to narrow down your search and find the best fit. Once you've found the classification, click Add. Accurately classifying your charity programs will help connect you with beneficiaries, donors, and volunteers. You'll also be asked to select beneficiaries of the program. That's who you're working to help. You can see some of the beneficiary groups listed here, such as children or people in rural communities. Then you need to list the location or the locations if there's more than one for your program. People can search the register based on location. With our earlier example, looking at the food bank, giving an accurate location in this section means that someone who's looking for a food bank can find one that operates specifically in their area. If the program's run overseas, select the box "This program is run outside of Australia," then list the countries. You can also provide a web link if you have more information about this program available online. Click Update to add your program. Once you've clicked Update, it will take you back to the main programs page where you can see all of your charity's programs in the table. You can add more programs if your charity runs other activities. You can also have a look on the charity register to see programs that other similar organisations have listed. If any of your programs are run overseas, you'll be asked a few questions about the type of international work that your charity does. Well, at this stage, we're about halfway through the annual information statement, so well done. As we mentioned before, you can always save and finish your annual information statement. So if you get to this point and you need a little break, just make sure you're clicking the Save button before you close your AIS. Then remember to log back in before the due date to finish it off. Before we start the next section, I just want to remind you that you can ask questions as we go by clicking the question mark icon in the top corner of your screen. We do have a lot of people joining us today, so if we don't have time to respond to your question, you'll get an email response from us within the next day or two.
So this next section looks at the number of employees and volunteers in your charity. The first question asks if your charity has any paid staff. You'll need to list how many are full-time, part-time, or casual. If your charity is run just by volunteers, write 0 in each of the boxes. For small charities, it's not mandatory to provide your full-time equivalent staff figure, but you'll need to provide this if your charity is medium or large. You can find out more information about calculating your full-time equivalent staff figure in the AIS guide. Next up is volunteers. This includes people who volunteer all year, as well as those who volunteer on a one-off basis. If you don't have the exact number, please use your best estimate. Let's move on to the finance section. Providing financial information here will promote transparency and build public trust and confidence in the sector. Some charities find this part tricky, but don't worry, we'll be walking you through each question and you can refer to the guide if you need more detail. We'll be looking at the financial questions for small charities, but check out the guide, the AIS guide, if you want to see these questions for medium and large charities. First, you'll need to know if your charity uses cash or accrual accounting. Cash accounting records revenue when money is received and expenses when money is paid out. Accrual accounting, on the other hand, records revenue when it is earned and expenses when they are incurred. Medium and large charities must use accrual accounting. Next, you'll be asked about related party transactions. A related party is a person or an organisation that is connected to your charity and has significant influence over the charity. Related party transactions could include loans from or to a related party, salary or wages paid to a related party's relatives, goods or services provided at a discount to a related party, and many more. Related party transactions can be common for charities and they can sometimes bring about benefits through, for example, access to discounted goods or services. However, it is important for charities to understand that and manage potential conflicts of interest and to report related party transactions correctly in the AIS. I'll give you an example. So let's say a board member for a charity is also a director of a web development company and the charity paid that company to update its website. This will be a related party transaction because the charity is paying an organization run by a board member who falls into the category of a related party. So in this case, the charity would answer yes to that first question. Then they will need to select the type of transaction from the list. So using the example I just provided, we will select fees paid to a related party for providing goods or services to the charity. Interestingly, in our recent review of the annual information statement and annual financial reports for the 2023 reporting year, we found that 93% of charities we reviewed correctly completed the related party transaction section in the AIS. So it's great to see so many charities nailing this part of the AIS, as related party transactions can sometimes be tricky. We'll pop the link in the chat for you to find out more information about related party transactions, including more examples on how to report them. If you are a medium or large charity, you'll also have a question about key management personnel remuneration. This is where you'll provide some information about the benefits or salaries for board members and other senior staff, which you can also find out more information in the AIS guide. Next, you'll be asked about your reporting period. So most charities report for a period of 12 months, You might be reporting for over or under a year in the first annual information statement if you registered in the middle of your reporting period. If you're unsure, you can reach out to our advice team for more help. If you're not reporting for a period of 12 months, click No and then enter the period you're reporting for. Lastly, on this page is the question for financial reports. It's not mandatory for small charities to submit a financial report, but you can choose to upload one. Providing your financial report can be a great way for charities to be transparent with the public, which helps improve the trust in the sector. If your governing document does require your charity to audit its financial report or to submit a financial report, don't forget to upload it here. Medium and large charities do need to provide their annual financial report. Medium charities can have the report either reviewed or audited, and larger charities need an audit. In the AIS, medium and large charities will be able to see the specific details of what they should include in the financial report. And you can learn out more information about annual financial reports on our website. The next section covers your charity's income and expenses. Here, you will need to provide amounts for each item. This section will correspond with your charity's income statement, which is also known as a profit or loss statement. You find out more details about what should be included in each category in the AIS guide, or by clicking more information under each field. Don't forget to enter the amounts in full Australian dollars with no cents. Round up and down to the nearest dollar where required, and please don't enter dollar signs, commas, or decimal places. If you don't have any income and expense for any particular category, make sure you enter a 0. So for income categories, these are revenue from government, donations and bequests, so which includes in-kind donations, revenue from providing goods or services, revenue from investments, other revenue, and any other income. So this includes any gains and investment losses. Your total revenue will be calculated automatically here. For expenses, the categories are employee expenses, grants and donations made in use in Australia and overseas, and any other expenses. Your total expenses will be automatically calculated here, as well as your charity's net surplus or deficit. As we mentioned, you can click on more information to see specifically what falls in each of these income and expenses categories. Next up is the balance sheet, which is also known as the statement of financial position. This is where you list your charity's assets and liabilities. For small charities, you'll be asked about your charity's total assets, so that might include things like cash in the bank or the value of owned properties. For total liabilities, this could include any outstanding loans or unused grant funding that hasn't been spent. Your charity's net assets or liabilities will be automatically calculated. And that brings us to the end of the financial section. There are just a few more short questions to cover, and then your AIS will be ready to submit. If your charity has a state or territory regulator, there might be a few extra questions. We've got an example from the ACT up on our screen now. We won't go into much detail here since the questions will vary depending on your state, but there will be things like your annual general meeting, or known as the AGM day, or the number of members your charity has. As we mentioned earlier, the ACNC works with other regulators to reduce red tape for charities. So if you've been registered as a corporate association before registering with the ACNC, you may be required to report to your state or territory regulator. But now that you are registered registered with the ACNC, you only need to report to us by completing your AIS. We'll then send this information to the other state territory regulator to meet their requirements. By answering these extra questions, you won't need to report separately to your state regulator, which means you don't need to pay the fees associated with reporting to them.
So this last section of the AIS is your charity's responsible people. And these are the people who govern the charity, such as board members or committee members or trustees. This information will be used to update your charity's responsible people on the charity register. So please make sure that the information you provide here reflects the current responsible people on the day you're completing your AIS. Have a look through this list to see if anybody has left your charity. If that's the case, click on their name and select the option to remove them. If you notice that one of your board members isn't listed, you can add them below. You need to add all responsible people for your charity at the time you're completing your AIS. We'll take you through the information you need for each responsible person. If you realise you don't have all these details, just click the Save button, then you can resume later after you have the information on hand. We also have a template that you can use to collect this information from your responsible people, and we'll pop that link in the chat as well. When you're ready to add people, click Add Responsible Person. Now, just to note here that only the person's name and position appear on the charity register, but we do ask for some additional details so that if the person calls us to discuss the charity, we can confirm their identity. So you'll need to list their full name, their date of birth, their address, their phone number, and their email. If they want to create a charity portal account for themselves, they should sign up with the same email you provide them here. This should be an email that is unique to that person and not a shared charity email address. You can choose to provide some cultural and language diversity information as well, but this isn't mandatory. You'll need to list your responsible person's position too, so example is a treasurer, and don't forget to search their name on the ASIC register for banned or disqualified people. We'll pop the link in the chat for that as well.
Once you've added your responsible people, you reach the end of the AIS. So there will be an opportunity to review your charity submission before hitting submit, as you can see on the screen. When you are ready, you can read through the declaration and fill in with your details. That includes details such as your name, phone, email address, and position. You also need to select the relevant declaration. So for example, if you are a board member, select responsible person. Make sure to tick the box confirming that all information you provided is correct, and then enter the date you're submitting your AIS. Then hit submit to lodge your AIS. To do this, look for the blue button in the bottom of the right-hand side of the screen, circled in orange on the screen. Once you click submit, you'll see an on-screen receipt. You can then download a PDF copy of your annual information statement for your reference, and I highly encourage you to do so for your charitable records.
And that brings us to the end of the 2025 Annual Information Statement. Hopefully this webinar has helped answer some of the questions that you might have about the AIS and what information that you need to provide to complete your AIS. We have covered a lot of information in the webinar, so we're just going to leave you with a few key takeaways for what you should be thinking about doing right now. So the number one thing that you should be thinking of doing now, and doing it right now, is making sure you have access to the charity portal. When you log in, you should see your own name in the top right corner, not the name of somebody else at your charity. And under the heading My Charities, you should see your charity's name. If you need help, you can visit the portal help page using the link that we shared in the chat, or you can also call our advice team on 132262 from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Victoria time. The second tip is to know when your charity's annual information statement is due. You can see the due date in the portal or on your charity's on the register. Our advice team can also help you if you get stuck. And thirdly, keep records. Charities are required to keep operational and financial records, and having this information handy when it comes time to submit your AIS will make the process much easier. So make sure you're keeping records now that you'll need for your reporting. We have a checklist for before you start your AIS on the AIS Hub page, which will help you know what documents to keep handy. As I mentioned, we've provided you with lots of links in the chat today to help you meet these next steps, as well as other AIS and reporting resources. The most important resource is the AIS guide, and the link is on your screen for 2025, but each year we produce a new one, so there's always fresh information to help you. You can also come back and watch this recording when you're ready to report. And of course, if you've got any questions, you can contact us. Our advice team is available on 132262 from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Victorian time on weekdays. And you can also keep up to date with ACNC information by subscribing to our newsletter or following us on social media. And the details are up on the screen now. And that brings us to the end of the webinar today. Thank you very much for joining. Before we wrap up, we'd really love to hear your feedback. So we're going to pop up a quick poll so you can help us in curating our webinars for the future. If you've got a minute to answer those questions, that would be fantastic. Thanks very much to Kat for joining me today.
Thank you. It was great to be here, and good luck with your AIS, everyone.
And thanks also to Maria, Yasemin and Gabby for helping with the questions that are coming through in the chat. As you can see, the poll's now live, so thank you to everybody who's filling it out. Just also, if we didn't get to your question today, we'll send you an email response in the next day or two. And if you happen to think of a question later, please email us at education@acnc.gov.au. You can also email us with any other feedback that you'd like to share. As I mentioned at the top of the webinar, we have recorded today's session and we'll make it available online soon, and we'll send a link out to everybody who registered, so you'll be able to access that link as well. We'll also send you the slides and the key resources that we have if you need any more information. Thanks again for joining us today to learn about reporting to the ACNC. I hope you have a great day. Thank you.